I've got 6 o'clock, and we promised we were going to start this thing at 6 o'clock, so we're going to keep that promise to you. Good evening again to you. I'm Rick Jones. I'm the Director of Plans of the city. I do appreciate you coming out. This is our third and final meeting right now on the Liberty District. We understand that we're really just bringing you the information about the Liberty District, what's going on with it now for the most part, on a very general view from that standpoint. The more important thing is once we get through the presentation here tonight, we want to get some feedback from you about what you'd like to see happen in the Liberty District, things that we can improve upon, things you just like to see happen. Really, the question tonight is really at the slide here shows is we want to know what your vision is for the Liberty District and how we can achieve that goal. This is a quote that comes out of the brand new publication from the Historic Columbus Foundation. It talks and describes about the Liberty District itself. That's being the area between 3rd and 6th Avenue, south of East 8th Street, and that's between 5th and 6th Avenue, south of 11th Street, was settled in the 1830s and 40s by laboring people of Columbus, many of whom were free black people or slaves of local residents. That gives you the core, I guess, in terms of how this area was actually developed and ongoing. There are some of you that actually lived and worked and played in that area and have a better history, a better understanding than I'll ever come to know. But I do have a general knowledge about the fact and about the importance of the Liberty District and what it means to not only this community, but primarily to the black community as well. And that's what we want to try to achieve with that understanding. Simple introduction here. Our purpose tonight again is we want to talk about the 2005 Liberty District plan that was put together at that time. From that standpoint, we want to try to help establish a common vision as we go along here in this whole process from that. And finally, we want to be able to develop a plan of action. How we're going to make some things happen here. We started that goal back in the mid 2000s, and it just kind of petered out. It just never really took on any momentum or anything else. And the objective is how do we regain that momentum? How do we go forward with this area and make it a vibrant area that it once was? From that standpoint, how that plan was done in the early 2000s. These were some of the overall goals for the district came out. Basically, be able to restore and maintain the vitality of the area itself, to promote a sense of identity, pride, and confidence, to provide a safe, livable, desirable neighborhood. That's important to all of us. To be able to provide incentives for reinvestment and rehabilitation, to rezone designated areas for appropriate planned uses, and to encourage private market reinvestment and adaptive reuse. That's the goal for this area. That's what the goal within that plan. And should be those goals I think are still relevant to what we're trying to achieve in dealing with the Liberty District as a whole itself. The Liberty District Master Plan itself called for, at that time, for the institutional, retail, office, and entertainment uses in that area. What we really call today are primarily mixed uses in the community itself. Whereas you may have zoned for certain things like residential or for commercial as separate units. This plan really called for that kind of mixed use activities that are ongoing in the area itself. Of course, you have to maintain the existing private and public institutions. I think it's a foregone conclusion the jail's not going to go anywhere unless y'all know something I don't, because it's pretty much entrenched in that area. Right or wrong is there, and so we got to figure out how to work around that from that standpoint. We wanted, as I said, we wanted to be a mixed use living, working, entertainment area, particularly that hub, that synergy being the Liberty District itself, or Liberty Theater itself in this case, in terms of preserving that historical landmark for the community. The plan at that time called for mixed-use commercial core, centered on the intersection of 6th and 8th Street. Residential density, as you can see on the slide here, would have been the highest at the Liberty Center itself and at the commercial core facing 5th and 6th Avenue in the plan. And then the commercial uses, really for the most part, would be commercial retail and services needs with some potential housing located along Victory and Veterans. And we're starting to see a little bit of that already. We want to talk about that for a while. These were the land use plan ideas back in under the Liberty District Master Plan. Now, for the sake of saving a few trees, and because we're also cheap, we don't have actually copies of the Liberty District Plan with us, but you can go to our website and find that document and look at it and go through it from that standpoint. And, we're glad to share any other information we can about that. This gives you an idea of what the future land use plan really called for. I'm going to try to point out who it is, if I can here, if mouse will cooperate with me. It won't. But for the most part here, I hope you can still hear me. Everything you really hear in yellow is identified as being, for the most part, single-family residential uses here. The brown kind of colors itself are more of, what am I trying to say here? Multifamily type uses, those kinds of concerns there. The red would be commercial activities that are ongoing in the area. This was the plan, the idea was in terms of how we could redevelop this community itself. Of course, you can see where the Liberty sits here, and of course where the veterans is on that standpoint. This is, for the most part, this is still a good plan. And I guess one of the questions we'll have to address is it still good enough to actually go ahead and look at implementing and putting into play here? Or is it something we need to either put it off to the side and redo and start from scratch? Or what should be the answer here to that whole question in dealing with this? This is city-owned properties. Laura, I don't know if you want to talk about this for a second and give us an idea where we are. This is Laura Johnson, who is our Director of Community Reinvestment. Come share with us what you will.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So basically back in the late 90s and early 2000s, the city started acquiring properties in the Liberty District for the purpose of redevelopment. So all the properties that you see in blue are properties that the city, or most of them, are properties that the city acquired back in the late 90s and early 2000s. And at the time, the properties probably had old blighted structures on them. The city demolished those structures, and now the properties are sitting there vacant and ready for redevelopment. A lot of the properties that the city owns are around the Liberty District, the Liberty Theater. And what we're hoping is once this plan is finalized, we'll be able to go back and actually have these properties available for some sort of redevelopment to come in Liberty District once the plan is finalized and we know where we're going to go. So basically, if you look along the 8th Avenue and 9th Street area, all those properties in blue are pretty much vacant properties that we can redevelop in the future.
Thank you. So as you can see, we have made some effort in terms of trying to acquire the property there for redevelopment opportunities that they come along. So we do have property. And Laura, correct me if I'm wrong, this is primarily bought in the community development block grant funding, was it not?
Correct.
Okay, so just give you an idea of what property we do own down there and trying to hold on to it in terms of future development. These are revitalization, reinvestment opportunities that are going on down there. Pam Hodges, our Deputy City Manager, you want to come forward and talk about some of the investments we've made? We want you to understand that we've not been sitting still here, that we have made some effort in terms of trying to preserve the area itself.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Rick is correct. These are some of the private developments and some of the city developments located on this map. And I'll go through some of them individually. The first one being the 6th Avenue Flood Abatement Project, which was a huge project for this area to alleviate some of the flooding issues that has precluded redevelopment from coming in. And this was a $37 million project that goes all the way from 15th Street to Victory Drive, and you can see the size of the culvert that's underneath the road on 6th Avenue. You can see the folks working how huge this culvert is that's under 6th Avenue to help alleviate the flooding issues in the Liberty District. Another project was the rehabilitation of the Ma Rainey House. That was a $300,000 investment. This was done partially with grant funding. Another project was the Resting Gardens Cemetery at $225,000. This is right on 6th Avenue as well. The Housing Authority has made an investment in this area of $20 million for Columbus Commons, which you can see is almost ready for occupancy. So this just gives you a summary of the investment that the city and others have made in this area since 2000, over $66 million. We've done some property acquisition and demolition with SPLOST funds. There was $5 million allocated. We currently still have a balance available in the Liberty District. The Ma Rainey House, the Resting Gardens, the flood abatement project, part of that was out of SPLOST funds of the Liberty District, and then the majority was a separate project, the 6th Avenue flood abatement. We did get a grant for the Ma Rainey House. Other projects include the Veterans Parkway streetscapes, about $5 million, the Columbus Commons, and then as well, council has approved the TAD for the Liberty District, 6th Avenue Liberty District, to help with another tool for redevelopment in this area. One of the things we talked about was a missed opportunity in the Liberty District itself. Back in 2012, the Housing Authority was originally looking to place Columbus Commons in a different location, and they have, with opposition, they determined that they would just put the development in the same location where BTW development was, and so that's what's getting ready to open soon. We want to hear your vision, your thoughts on the Liberty District. The city manager is planning to establish a Liberty District committee. The committee will meet to decide, do we continue to use the existing master plan and just update it based on the information that's been gathered, or do we want to kind of put that one on the side and hire a consultant and do a new master plan? And that's really where we're at this point, is hearing your vision and determining where we go from here.
Okay.
So if we want to kind of open it up
Sure.
for comments, questions. Anybody have thoughts of what they would like to see in the Liberty District? We also have comment cards that you can, if you don't feel like,
Oh, yeah.
if you don't feel like expressing your opinions in the group, you can write everything down and make sure you leave it on the table before you leave. But we're here to hear your comments, thoughts.
I like to stay under the original plan, because I live right around the corner. And from what I can see, you about to throw me away from downtown. I've been downtown all my life, and I'm 66 years old, and I've been in that area for 47 years.
Right.
So when I'm in front of the Liberty Theater. So what's gonna happen to me in all of this?
I can't answer that because I don't know. That's not to avoid you from that question.
I know.
But I'm just, all we're talking about right now is dreams, really. Not nightmares. We're talking about dreams over here, about how we can achieve what we need to achieve in this area, what we want to see it happen. I don't have any plans to move anybody out. I mean, we don't have any plans. We're just not at that stage. When the one thing that we probably should have done back in 2003, 5, whatever, when this plan was put together, was we should have gone to council with it. We should have said, okay, are we on the right track? Let's adopt this. We can start implementing and putting it together. We haven't done that. What we have done as a community, correct me if I'm wrong, but what we have done as a government here is we've gone in and take opportunities to purchase property, so we could reassemble it for redevelopment opportunities. But we've never gone into the idea of trying to displace people. That's just, we don't have that kind of authority right now, and we don't have that kind of a direction. And that's what we're trying to achieve. So if you're worried about us moving you out tomorrow, stay put. Or even next year, I don't have anything.
2 years from now, it looks that way. Like you're not putting enough houses for us black to move back down.
Okay. And that
You
would-
moving us blacks out there past Victor Drive.
Yeah, and
I
that-
call that slave time, 'cause ain't nothing out there but Walmart,
Yeah.
and I don't wanna go out there.
Okay, fair enough. And I'm not advocating you going out there. But I'm just saying, we need your input though, to hear what you're saying about, I don't wanna move, I wanna stay where I am. I need for you protecting me. And that's what we need to hear from you tonight. And I appreciate you saying that to us, thank you.
And the goal too is to build on the citizens that are in that area and to revitalize that area with the residents that are currently there. It's not the intention to move the residents out to bring in something new. It's to build on those things that have been done and to revitalize those vacant properties that are vacant. It's not to move out the existing residents.
Well, I'm the only resident right now.
We'll work with you, I promise, we'll work with you.
Oh, okay,
Yes, sir.
as long as I don't go.
Now, I noticed that the city has bought up some properties in the area.
Yes, sir.
What is the plan that the city has with those properties? You know, there are economic development of principles that, you know, they allow people to come in and do business at a reduced rate so that they can get those businesses up and going, you know, maybe with a reduced tax rate.
Right.
But what is the city planning to do to incentivize some of the, maybe the businesses to move into those areas? Now, I'm gonna tell you, historically, back in the 60s, you know, that area was pretty vital.
Right.
Because you had, you know, places like Fountain City, Top Hat Chicken, the Liberty Theater, and you had a lot of public input in that area. A lot of people were there, moving about, you know, and doing things, and it was thriving. It looked like it was anyway. But is that what the Columbus is planning on returning it to, or does Columbus have a different plan?
Well, I don't want to, I'm not trying to dodge the question because that's really the idea of why we're here tonight, is to try to hear what you want to see that area become. What the city has done though, from my perspective, and Pam's already pointed out to you, is we've sunk a ton of money back into this area. If we didn't think the area had any viability to it, I don't think we would have done it. We might have done some of it, but you know, the idea of just that the money we sank into the storm sewers here. I mean, that's a chunk of change. So we knew we couldn't develop the area unless we had the storm sewer taken care of. The city's also taken a bold leap here and designate this area as a tax allocation district. What that means to you, and everybody starts drawing up into the knot when they hear the word tax. But what it means to you is we can invite and encourage development to come in there and offer them what you're talking about in terms of incentives based on the tax they will actually generate with their new development. We in turn can go back and then put the infrastructure back in, help with the roadway system or anything else that's really going to serve the public. We can help them with that and help them reduce their cost in terms of development. I think you're seeing it a little bit here. We're feeling some of the afterwave effect, afterglow, what you want to say about it in terms of what's happening to the uptown area itself. Everything is starting to radiate out from that vantage point. The next logical place is the Liberty District, in my estimation, with everything we're making on. With the improvements that are going on down just to the south of us here from the Housing Authority, with that new development going in, I think that's going to speak volumes for this area. If they go ahead and do what they've been talking about doing and promoting commercial on the front end of that, right there at the intersection of Veterans and Victory, and with commercial development, we've all talked about that can be anything from hotels, restaurants, you name it. But that's going to be a vital anchor point to this whole area. And once we get that established, and I think we will, I don't think that's a pipe dream, I think the rest is going to come. But and that's why we're having this conversation also is we need to be prepared for that when it happens, so that we don't have development occur that you don't like, that we're not running her out of her house, or you have something show up out here that you just don't want in this area. So that's important. To go back to your original question, I know I'm taking a wild tangent here, but yeah, the city has made investments in here, and we also are providing incentives to encourage that redevelopment to occur.
Now, who are you targeting? Is the city reaching out to any particular
No, so we don't have that capability. Now, you can work through the chamber and work through the development authority on things of that nature. But we pretty much, we've put everything we got right now, information-wise, out on our website or anything else we can go. As far as us going out and recruiting anybody, we don't have that capability. But we do have the capability when someone comes into our office, sit down and walk them through the development steps and help them get to that process. And that's what we try to achieve. So that's where we are with that. So it's, get on Facebook or whatever and tell everybody we got property ready to develop down here. We'll be glad to help.
It's probably pretty fair to say too, though, part of what you're doing is informing the Liberty District Committee that's not been formed yet, and I would assume, tell me if I'm wrong, once that's formed and that committee starts meeting and taking public concerns and desires and whatnot, then you're in a better position to partner with the chamber to market
Right.
those places. And I think marketing right now is probably a little ahead of the game unless somebody came in and,
Right.
but I think
Yeah.
it's not at that step yet.
I'll give you a Planning 101 seminar lesson here real quick. The important thing about this, if we have some kind of plan, some kind of direction, some kind of guidance of how we want to see things happen. Right now, we're only basing everything as far as development goes on really what the zoning is down there. So if we got a zoning down there that, nobody really likes, well, it could be heavy-duty industrial going down there, y'all may not like that, we need to fix it, but right now I can't fix it. I can't work that magic until we have some kind of direction, some kind of guidance. And that's where we gotta have a plan, because somebody, mark my words on this part, you don't listen to anything else I got to say to somebody in the next 5 years, 10-year time frame tops, is gonna come in here and develop something, period. Now, the question is, how good a development do you want? If you're looking around and say, well, we're not really worried about it too much, we'll just let it happen, fine. We're all good with that too. But if you're saying the Liberty District, this area deserves better, then we need to set a plan for that. So when someone does come in and talk to me, or talks to staff or whatever, and say, I'm ready to develop, we've got a plan, so can you meet this plan? This business about the tax allocation district, when they come in for that, that's not a simple thing of somebody walking in and say, I want to do a tax allocation district. Oh no, they've got to show us how they're going to manage that project, how they're, what they're actually investing, how they're going to develop this thing. They got to have a performer for all this good stuff. It's not a thing of just filling out a piece of paper and hand it to them. But when they come into us, we got to be able to say to them, this is how this area is going to develop. Can you meet that requirement? That's what our neighbors have told us here. So how can we go about making that happen? And that's what we're trying to achieve. So, long answer, but there we go.
Okay, if you go back, if you can go back and pick up your minutes from when those meetings first started, you will find that the reason why the people had to leave from down there was because of the flooding issues.
Right.
Those people were told that that's why we passed, that's why Crowder and all of them left from downtown, the businesses, like Ms. Crowder. They left because it was flooded, but they were told that once they fixed the flooding issue, that the people could come back. In other words, our beauty shops could come back, our cleaners could come back, because Rambo was down there. Everything that was going on down there, the business people could actually come back. The people who were still living down there at that time, the city had a system where they would give grants to like property owners, like apartments owners, to fix up the property that was there. They used to do it, and somewhere they stopped doing that. Well, with the community development block grant money and their home improvement money, that money was supposed, and it's based on poverty points, that money was supposed to be used to help those people who were still there fix up their properties. And when we started the development, everything would be congruent, would be the same.
Right.
But the businesses that were down there were supposed to come back. But instead, everything going down Casita Road, which was also flooding, the city had put a garage and all of that stuff down there. So what we wanted back down there was the beauty shop. was the restaurants, was the cleaners. Everybody who was there was supposed to remain there, and those who had to leave, like the businesses, was supposed to be able to come back and actually have a revitalized area. We had the dentist, we had the beauty supply center over there owned by Mitchell Thomas. All of that, everything that we had there was supposed to come back. But the improvements have been made, so it was not about partnering with the Chamber of Commerce. You get the committee and they partner with the people, contact the people who have interest or an investment, a previous investment already in the Liberty District. We don't need somebody from New York coming down here putting a Chick-fil-A when we had Top Hat Chicken or Lennox Grill. Those people were supposed to come back. It was to revitalize the Black or the African American entrepreneurial epicenter that it was. And our own service station.
Okay. Yes, sir?
What are the criteria for this you're talking about?
I don't know yet. Again, I'm not trying to dodge that question. We just don't know yet. I would think it's going to have to be somebody, of course, has an interest, a genuine interest in the Liberty District itself. But I would also think there's going to be some folks that are not necessarily historically attached to this district, but have a real interest with it as well.
So would there be a public announcement for Smithson
Yes.
taxpayers?
Yes, sir.
How would you do that public announcement?
That will come from the city manager's office. When he'll have to go to council with that idea and get council's approval for it to happen. But that would come out of his office, yes.
Okay, so you have no idea?
No,
about-
so he is not. I can say this unequivocally. He has not got that far along in this process. He's waiting for these meetings to end.
Okay. Can I ask a question first?
Sure.
Are you originally from Columbus?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay. What area you grew up in?
I grew up on St. Mary's Road.
On St. Mary's Road, okay. So that would probably be consolidated, is that correct?
I was actually, my house was it was for consolidation, but we were in the city limits. The city limits at that time were probably about a half mile up the road on St. Mary's. But we were in right there at St. Mary's.
Okay, the reason I asked because what she was talking about, when the city consolidated, they went from USDA to urban renewal, and they had to develop a plan. This is where we at. And over the last 50 years, I've been part of the implementation of relocating 90,000 people from downtown all the way up to Wilson Apartment.
Mm-hmm.
So this is part of the master plan. They moved houses from up around the medical center, Rose Hill, and moved them down in the historic district. That was part of the planning of the Lower Chattahoochee Development Plan as well as the Columbus Development Authority. So we're here today discussing something that was actually put back on the table when the late Gerald Allen was mayor and the city of Columbus began to get federal dollars. I work with the housing authority, so I know all about the implementation about buying property for renewal. They had to submit a master plan dealing with what she was talking about flooding. But I don't think the vendors left this area because of flooding. They left this area because of the relocation of migrating the people to other neighborhoods. Most of the whites that lived up around Peabody and Wilson, they were relocated to Double Church at Fox Chapel. Most of the blacks that lived downtown, what they did, they put them on the south end of public housing. So this is what she was talking about. She's saying she's the last soldier standing downtown.
Right.
And she would like for them to give her an opportunity to be able to stay down here. One of the things I'm kind of concerned about is that I travel all over the United States and people ask me, where are you from? I said, Columbus. Then I said, Fort Benning. Then they begin to talk about 8th Street, all the very different type things. We have a Black History Trail. I'm just sitting here looking at this, and it's interesting. I don't see the two things that I can recognize that I can say in my 60-some years living in Columbus downtown that actually represent my history. So it's interesting. I'm trying to figure out if someone came here and they want to come to the Black History District, where is it? What's there? So I'm trying to figure out, we're talking about developing the Liberty District. I'm saying, why we can't keep some kind of form? We got rid of all the school. I went to that school there. I leave there every day, and I will come to this library and study. So this whole area means a lot to me. I still come down, I shop, I do a lot of different things. There's some people sitting here in this room tonight that were vendors here, and they still vendors. So I'm trying to say in development, why we can't develop? You put public housing back down there, which is Section 8, a whole other set of housing. You're keeping a small set of people there. But at the same time, why we can't take houses from other neighborhoods, just like they did, and I know neighborhood where we could do that and bring houses down and put $300,000 values on them by taking those houses and just going in and recondition those houses to make them look back in a form of the houses that stayed there back in the 50s and the 60s. So that's something that we need to be talking about instead of trying to make all this some kind of commercial. We're thinking commercial, but we're not looking at, like she was saying, what is she supposed to do? She gonna be that last soldier that we throw on the south end of town, is that correct? Because that's what she's saying. I don't see.
Green eye.
There you go.
You might guess.
No, I'm not going south.
But I'm saying that that's something that I'm talking to everybody in this room, we need to take in consideration. People do come back to Columbus. I just had a guest to come in from the Pentagon last week, and that's what I did. I toured him around. He was shocked to see what we did on the Riverwalk, and then when he walked back over here, he was like,
Where is it?
where the black people? Where the people? So, it's interesting we want to do something with this, but it was all in the master plan was to actually relocate us from downtown where they could come back. You can go back and look at the plans in 1972, which I think Ms. Clark, you might was here, I don't know. But the late Gerald Allen there, it was all done then, that's a plan. And it took them 40-some years before they actually built the Civic Center. The Civic Center was proposed back in 1972. And we built it finally. So now, just 60 years later almost, now we want to address this area. So I don't get it, like she said, we have not tried to put anything back. I'm quite sure that a lot of people will come down and buy houses on this side, the east side of Veteran Parkway, used to be 4th Avenue. If the house was $200,000-300,000, there's people in Columbus that can afford to buy those type homes. So what had happened over the last 40, 50 some years is that you taking all these people as their income grows and you dump them out around Columbus and people move back in, and now it seems like that's some kind of path where people want to come back to Columbus, but they want to come back downtown and be merchants. They want to be vendors. They want to put things in that don't have anything to do with the history or this particular area. So we need to take that in consideration. You know, you just did the black
And trust me,
cemetery.
I hear you, I really do.
Give us something. That's what I'm saying. Give us something.
And that's,
You know, give us
thank you for your comments,
Think about
because that's good
we got
information
all
to
kind
have.
of problems going on in America now, and I want to be quiet.
Yeah,
Racially, we need to stand here and say, we are one America.
right.
We are one people. Our history, I don't believe in tearing down the statue, but that's history. Y'all understand, they can't bite me, can't hurt me.
Amen.
So let us have an opportunity for ourselves to say, I'm gonna make a carve in the wall. I'm gonna leave my mark. And that's a lot of history coming right out of this area down here. And I can sit here and talk with you for days and days and tell you actual stories of history. Famous people came here and performed down in the Liberty area.
Right now.
Club, oh yeah, yeah. So,
And I think that's what we're trying to recapture. I mean, I can't atone for whatever past sins we may have had on this, but I can tell you that we need to be looking in the right direction together to protect that history, preserve that history, because it's going to get lost if we don't. And the generations, you know, to come after us, you may not even care about Maureen. That would be sad, I think, in that regard. But we need to find some way that we can recapture, rejuvenate that kind of interest, but at the same time, redevelop the whole area as we go along.
correct.
So I hear you very, very loud and clear on that.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
What opportunity minority development will have to be able to implement and be part of this process?
I would hope a great deal. I mean, you don't want me to do it by myself. I don't want to do it by myself, so that's not going to happen. But I think we've got to have your input. If we're going to go forward with this thing, it's not a thing of us just putting a plan together and then being done with it and walk away. It's more a thing of putting this, hearing your ideas and your thoughts and dreams and so forth, capturing those, putting them to paper or putting them on the map, whatever, and then come back again and say, all right, did we get it right? You know, are we hearing, or did we hear what you told us that you want to see happen out here? This has to be your plan. It cannot be. It's not the planning department's plan. Hear me loudly on that one. It has to be your plan if it's going to be successful. It has to be your plan because
various reasons why we did move from down here, and the flooding was one of them.
Okay.
At that point, will be remade, that's why we passed the 99 spot.
Right, and-
There's multiple reasons, but the flooding was one of them.
Yep.
And the reason for the opposition for the BTW is because we wanted to put $200,000 and $300,000 homes down here, because a TAD will not be effective without discretionary income in an area. When you're looking at mixed use, you have a decrease in discretionary income, and your TADs are not going to be profitable. And that's why we were opposing the housing part, because we wanted neighborhoods. And we gave an example of in Saginaw, Michigan, where the Apple Pie Apples built a development and named every street after the founding fathers of Apple. And we thought that people wanted to come back downtown to buy homes. And $200,000 to $300,000 homes had good jobs and would have discretionary money to build the area up. We was never a plan to move people who were already down here, but give redevelopment grants to those people. There were people down here on boats doing flooding. The reason why you got this flood abatement was because of the 99 spot. There were multiple reasons why people left from down here, and flooding was one of them.
Okay, good deal. All right, thank you. Somebody else now, got a question? Yes, Ms. Smith.
I have an observation. I'm a history buff, and I just finished reading Atlanta, Georgia. It's called the Buttermilk Bottom. And when I hear the word reinvestment when it comes to African American neighborhoods, I get kind of weary. In Atlanta now, where Auburn Avenue is, they did all of that stuff. And Buttermilk Bottom was all African American. They came in there. They waited a while, of course,
Right.
because it's like a hidden agenda. And they came in there and they extrapolated the whole community. And all those African Americans had to relocate. So that whole history of Buttermilk Bottom, where the Martin Luther King was, is no longer. And the same thing happened in Detroit. They called it Black Bottom. So when I think about reinvestment, and you talk about you're going to do a plan, I'm telling you, I know it's a hidden agenda, because it's not going to happen, because you're not going to bring that history back because these people are gone.
Yeah.
So if you don't have it written down anywhere, if you're not talking about it, it's a hidden agenda. It's already been planned. Because when I read Buttermilk Bottom, and they're getting ready to redo some extraordinary things down in Atlanta at Buttermilk Bottom, but it wasn't always that way. But the opportunity to come in and get that property and get that land and do something with it. I know Columbus State University's down there. And I met a woman who lived in BTW for 30 years. That mindset, she didn't have a clue that she could move into a home and buy a home. But she's relocated after she's been there for 30 years. And I told kids that live in BTW, and those kids, they don't have a clue. They didn't even know what Booker T. Washington meant. So when you're talking about reinvestment in African American people, and you have not invested, you don't know their thoughts, you don't know their emotions, you don't know their feelings, so you probably do what you want to do because you see the big picture, and they don't see the big picture. So it's like a hidden agenda. Same way in Detroit, Black Bottom, Atlanta, Buttermilk Bottom, and you can go even to Las Vegas. When I was out there, they showed me the area where all black people was at one time. That's gone. You're going to reinvestment. So let's be real. You know, just tell them the truth. You
Yeah.
know, you have a different agenda. Don't keep playing games. That's
Okay.
why things get out of control, because you play games with people.
Okay,
It's not
okay.
fair.
That's
So
fair.
just get it
That's
real
fair.
and don't have a hidden agenda. That's all I'm saying. Don't say reinvestment. Just say we're going to redo this because opportunities are there.
Well, let me be as candid as I possibly can. I hope the ones you know me know that I'm honest enough with you about stuff. I don't have anything to hide. Quite frankly, I'm not smart enough to have a hidden agenda, to be honest. Even if I wanted
Well,
to.
maybe it's not you.
But
I'm just saying
even
you're
the
part of
city.
agenda.
I'm just saying, look, we all know of the significance of this area. We all know that. And unfortunately, right or wrong, it's no longer here. The housing, the commercial, all that stuff is gone. And I'm sorry it is, I really am. All right, so we got two choices here. We can sit here and lament about that and cry about the fact that all this stuff is gone, the history's gone, and so forth. Or we can stand up and actually do something about it. And I'm saying to you, that's what we're trying to get here. The city's made us invest. We want to try to get some of our money back. To be honest, that's our hidden agenda. We've made a tremendous amount of investment.
You're going to get the money back.
That's what I'm saying.
They're going to get it back.
And I want to get it back though. I want to
Living
get.
in that neighborhood.
I want to get it back
How long
to.
those apartments buildings over there? Like BTW, I don't even know why you put some money in them to keep them there. And all of a sudden, they're gone because it was already planned. You planned to move those apartments to BTW.
Well,
That's how I feel now. I could be.
I can tell you how I know about that, and that's a longer story about dealing with the housing authority, but all I can tell you is, we don't have a hidden agenda. I'm not coming here.
Not hidden agenda, you have a situation
No.
where you're gonna do what you have to do, regardless of when you come down.
I'm, honestly, and as candid as if I can make you feel comfortable about this.
I'm comfortable.
Let me just tell you that, I don't have a hidden agenda.
I didn't say you had a
All
hidden
right,
agenda.
let's get me a little more general. The city doesn't have a hidden agenda either in this thing. All we're really concerned about is, what are we gonna do with this area? We can let it sit like it is and be happy with it, and you can let anything you want as far as development to
No, you
occur.
don't believe in African Americans. They don't wanna just sit here. They want something different.
All right, and that's what we're trying to achieve as a community here.
It's for.
You need to tell us how we can go about developing this plan, should we go forward?
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, on the committee that the city manager is working on, what are the prerequisites for being a part of that committee?
I do not want to speak for the city manager. We've had some brief conversations about it. He's going to be looking for folks, I would think, that have, like I said to the gentleman back here, have a viable interest in developing this area. That's the best answer I got. I'm not trying to.
So should we make phone calls to him to ask him?
I would think so. It wouldn't hurt.
Okay.
You can send him emails.
Okay.
I'm not saying bombard him, because I'll get a phone call in the morning saying, why don't you tell him he's supposed to call me? But I'm just saying, yeah.
I think
He needs to let you know.
I'll say bombard him. I'll say call him, or send him an email, or do whatever you wanna do if you're
If you're
interested
interested.
in being on the committee, or if you know somebody else that you think ought to be on the committee.
There you go.
Tell
I
him
would
that.
like to be on
And
that.
see, this is why I'm saying, bringing that up, because in order to maintain the history that we all want in this area, we need people, we need to move people heard.
Well,
And so-
but you don't need to wait for somebody to come to you and ask you to be on the committee.
Exactly.
Do what they're.
And that's why we're trying to
Absolutely.
find that information out tonight,
Mhm.
since this is the last meeting,
Right.
to find that information out tonight, so that we can bombard the city manager.
And
with
if you don't necessarily wanna be on the committee, but you know that she'll be a good committee
Right.
member, give her name and
Right,
address, and
exactly.
telephone number.
Or if you know what you want, if you know, in my opinion, if you know how you would like to see that committee, what are your goals with that committee?
You wanna make sure that
Also-
people on the committee don't have any hidden agenda.
You can also put that information on your form that you're filling out. If you're interested in being on the committee, just write that at the bottom of your form. And we're going to compile all the information that we hear verbally from the citizens at these meetings, as well as the information that you put on the forms. And so if you want to put that on the form, we'll make sure we put all that information of all those who are interested in serving on the committee.
Other questions or comments? Y'all too quiet now. I didn't mean to make you stop talking. Yes, sir.
At the last meeting and previous one, did the city manager mention hiring somebody to spearhead this process
Yes,
as an
that's
employee
possible.
of a redevelopment authority?
I think what he talked about was, at some point, there would be something similar to Uptown or Midtown. There would be a Liberty District, and eventually, once the area is redeveloped, there would be an organization that would have a president or someone that acted on behalf of the Liberty District to move things forward. So I think that's something that can be considered in the future.
So it'll be similar to Uptown Inc. or Midtown Inc.
Yes.
I think one of the things that was kind of disturbing with that plan for the housing around the Liberty Theater was that it encroached. It seemed, I know that's city property, but it just came right up to the back of it. And I think because it is a historic building, that you need to give it space, maybe some landscaping around that. It's just an idea. And then the railroad tracks are a definite eyesore in that area. I attended a Preservation for Profit meeting maybe 2 years ago, I can't remember. But one of the things they mentioned that they did in other cities like Birmingham around the rail lines was landscaping, and not, and just instead of trying to hide it or disguise it, just to lift it up. It's there, it's not going away, but to make it, enhance it a little more, if you can. And there are some historic buildings in the Liberty area, and so they're like, how many churches? 5 or 6 I can't remember how many churches, and several historic buildings. And instead of trying to tear them down, we need to build them up, and so that it will be comparable. Both sides of Veterans will be comparable, that we have built up this side as we had the other side. And I think that might appease a lot of folks.
I think so. So one of the things I think if you really take a step back and look at this area, you realize there's some real challenges down here now. I mean, we talked about the jail being down here for one thing.
You gotta ignore that.
That's not gonna go away, like I said, but.
You just gotta, it's
but,
there.
But you're talking about the rail yards, the industrial uses that are already entrenched here, those kind of things, we've looked at some time back about the same thing, and those are obstacles you got to overcome. They're not insurmountable obstacles, but they are obstacles. You got to recognize that.
Right.
You got to recognize really what the real potential of this area could be and what its limitations are going to be at the same time. So that's why it's important. I think we look at it together.
Yeah.
Somebody else, we got others.
Is that, what street is that we looking at?
I'm sorry?
That right there, what's that, 6th Avenue?
This is
8th Avenue?
yeah. This is
That's
right.
my house.
we got you in this building right here.
I hope so.
Now we're looking at, this is just an idea, concept we came up with, just again for thought process more than anything else, of what the area really could look like if, in terms of actually, if you want to develop some things around the Liberty itself, in terms of some offices, some residential, that kind of thing, that make that a walkable community more than anything else from that standpoint. It's an idea. And hear me now when I say this, not all the ideas are bad. The ideas are there for you to think through with us. To say, okay, yeah, that looks good, or Rick, you jumped off the deep end again here. But we want you to think with us about what the Liberty area could really look like. Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
So are you all asking for specific things that would possibly?
Sure, if you got something in mind, yeah.
I think a market would be nice because it could cater to the Veterans Parkway area and cater to the Broadway area, so it would probably make a lot of money. And since it is an area where a lot of people can walk to a lot of things, I think a grocery store would be nice to be able to.
We've been trying to get a grocery store downtown I'm with the Bradley Company for eons. And it is first on everybody's mind, and oh my heavens, we would all love to get one. It's just really, really hard to find someone who's got the money to come down here, but I think and that would be great, because that's, not everybody on that side wants to walk 6 blocks over to, Broadway or Front Avenue. Yeah. So if we can get one, that'd be great. Maybe then we could get another one.
That'd be great.
If you have any grocery connections, let me know.
Yes, ma'am.
You guys have a tentative list?
I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Yes,
Do you
ma'am.
guys have like a tentative list of the kinds of businesses you do want down here?
No, I don't have, we tried not, in all earnest, not to come in here with any sort of predetermined ideas or uses, really. We want to give you some things so it'll get the thought process or the thought juices running, but any and everything I think is doable here. I think that's what we're looking for. Yes, sir.
Okay, this plan, how much of, and I'm looking at this now, it looks exciting. How much of what was included in the 2003 restoration plan is represented in here?
Pretty much everything in there. I mean, all the goals and the objectives, what that plan, we present that only as again, the thought for what that plan calls for now. And the question really again is, do we like that plan, or do we want to tweak it, or do we need to start over? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest, I have no pride and ownership of that plan, because I didn't develop that plan. We actually brought an outside consultant in on that one. So.
I was not a part of that plan, but when I read the plan, it seemed to me that a lot of work had gone into it, and in my uninvolved opinion, that was one of the best plans that we had seen in the last 40 years as far as what we could do down in this area.
Right.
And so, you know, over the last few years, as we've been coming back together periodically, I'm hoping that we're not gonna scrap that plan, because that was a wonderful, thought-out plan
Okay, good.
of what would help to restore this area, and a lot of considerations, how it was back when we were growing up here.
Okay.
So, we would like, and I'm just recommending this, not to consider scrapping that plan. A lot of work went into that plan.
So maybe just fine tune the thing?
Let the committee
Yeah.
decide.
Yeah.
Let
Yeah.
the committee decide.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Thank you. Anybody else? Don't
Is
be
this the
shy.
last public meeting? Is this
sorry?
the last public meeting?
Yes, for this go around, this is our third and last one, of just really kind of gathering information. We'll determine where we need to go from this point on, but this is the last one we're gonna do.
So,
Particular liberty.
so you saying that we can suggest to the city manager the type of person who we would like to see
Yes, ma'am.
on the Liberty District project? We
Yes,
can
ma'am.
send her an email, and then since Judy is our at-large counsel, we'll copy her.
Absolutely.
Just in case the city manager has a
All right. Gentleman behind you here.
Some commercial wanted to come into the Liberty District. What I'm saying is the parking is going to be the issue. Is there any particular regulation for the parking, just like for the downtown, or it's gonna be different?
That depends. Again, not trying to dodge that quick, I don't know. Right now, if you came in, yes, you would be required to bring the parking with you, from that standpoint. And we have a certain ratio like we do everything else with commercial parking. But if the plan goes forward and we decide something different, yeah, that's a possibility that we may do the same things we do in the uptown area itself. That just remains. I don't have an answer for it, but.
Just an example, for the restaurant, you need a certain amount for the parking.
Right.
Some properties around that area, can that restaurant use that parking?
Could, yes, you can do that now.
Does it
You can
consider-
do that now, it's basically in terms of working on an agreement. The ordinance right now requires basically that if you're within 500 feet, you have a joint agreement with someone, you can utilize their parking now.
How about for the city-owned properties?
That's something we'd have to work out. We won't grant you that automatically, we have to work a deal out on that part. Because it is public property, and we do have to get a return back on it. Okay? But that is something we can work out.
You mentioned about having a organization such as Uptown Inc. and Historic Society. Is there a reason why the goal for that being established once these are laid out as opposed to implementing it early on, so that visualizing it being where you've got your committee, the committee works with that organization to seeing these come to fruition, but that organization's ultimate goal is focused on this district, not this and that and all these, so that they can begin, as they get the plans implemented, working towards landing the grocery stores, getting the other places.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I mean, it's gonna take some work. Some of you may remember, the organization that was under Mayor Portership in terms of Columbus South. That had great momentum at one time, but then it just slowly fizzled out. That's the thing you have to guard against, is how you maintain that momentum as you go forward. And I can see something coming out of this committee, out of this plan, that actually would say, yeah, we may have a group like that. It may model something that looks like Uptown. I don't know. But I don't think you have to wait for that development to occur for that kind of group to come together. So I can see that.
Neither the Uptown Committee nor the Midtown Committee are city committees.
Right, that's what I'm saying, so they're not,
There's funding
they're
that has
not.
to go with that, you know,
Well,
but Uptown Columbus,
Well,
Uptown Columbus is not,
It was initiated, was funded, Richard Beecher went down and there was $100,000 with community development block.
right, but I'm just, for it to
But then it
continue.
became self-sustainable.
Right, so,
Well,
so.
it's not as self-sustainable as you think it is.
Well, to be, well, you're right.
I mean, it's not,
You're
you've
right.
got corporations that help fund the paychecks for those people, so you've
Absolutely.
got to find, I think you are completely on the right track. It's just, one of the jobs with this committee is going to be
Well, that's the challenge,
recruiting,
well, that's the challenge
you
that
know,
I'm saying. is,
fundraising.
You know, I don't see myself in the committee for.
Yeah, but it's a good
But
point.
what I'm stating is, as the committee, to look towards being able to establish
I agree.
and bring the money,
I
because
agree.
like I said, most of those, I'm aware of the United, you know, the Uptown, they did get some money from the city. I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, but if the city sees that there's other outside support coming in, then they're willing to pitch into that. So, whose pockets are we going to try to touch?
Right.
Is the question,
Everybody.
and who's, well, you can say everybody, but Uptown didn't touch everybody, they
Right.
touched key people, they knew who to touch. The question is, who in the committee is gonna be, you know, as they hire somebody to say head up the Liberty Inc. or whatever they decide to call it, to be able to have those connections with folks that have money, that have an interest in keeping this going.
And get them to write
And
check.
then be, absolutely,
lie,
absolutely.
we gonna lie.
But I'm not lying, I mean, that's.
Yeah,
Uptown, the Whitewater wouldn't happen if it wasn't for some private money.
Right.
And for us to say, well, we want to hit some of these other places, they may not have an interest here. And so the matter is who is being, as part of the committee, not only of what's going to be placed in here, but who needs to be in the mix here,
who's gonna invest
invested in, even if they may not physically be there.
Oh, sure.
Is to be able to say, well, I see the potential.
One of the, in developing any type of plan, especially this type, one of the key components is it's got to have something that talks about implementation. It is useless to go ahead and develop a plan and say, all right, this is what we want. But if you don't have any way of getting there, it's just pretty pictures on a piece of paper.
As we have seen for the last 12 years.
Right.
Yeah. So what I'm saying to you is there's got to be an implementation component, and I think that's part of the deal here in making this happen. So,
And so, is one of the drawbacks, the reason why this plan went dormant, because there was no one heading it, such as a champion?
I don't know. I don't want to speculate on that part. All I can tell you right now is that plan really, irregardless of what we may think of, really just set some things in motion, because it did draw some attention back to this area. It also, though, in some way, was a catalyst in terms of dealing with the flooding in this area. Because we realize you can't encourage folks to come down here and spend money to develop things if they know they're going to get flooded every time it rains. So and Don Newman's back here from engineering, she'd tell you in a heartbeat, we didn't solve the flooding problem. I mean, let's don't get away from that idea. We made it better, but we didn't solve them. I mean, there's still going to be times when there's just nothing we can do, like we've had in the last month. It seems like with every time it rains, we get some flooding somewhere. But we've made the situation better, and we've made it better enough. That's not even right, probably incorrectly said, but we've made the conditions better anyway to invite folks to come back to this area. Otherwise, we couldn't even get them, even talk to them. Now we can at least talk to them. We've also put in motion through council's direction here, these tax allocation districts, this tax allocation district. So those are key things. We provide the additional incentive to make these things happen. And I hope you understand what I'm trying to share with you about the enthusiasm I have for the area, because I see it happening. I really see it happening in redeveloping in here with all the other synergy we got going on. Yeah, we didn't have the Civic Center back in '72. I understand that. We had a barn. But we've got that Civic Center in place. We've got South Commons in place. We've got everything else on everything on that side of the road going. Like it or not, whatever your position is, the housing authorities already made their decision. They're going forward with that. I can't do anything about that, right or wrong. But I'm telling you now, that's in place. And so when that opens up, those folks are going to need some place to go shop. They're going to need some place to go eat. They're going to need some place to go work, for that matter. And so the next, in my mindset, the next guy is smarter than me comes in and says, hey, I can take care of that. I can provide them, the restaurants, or I can provide them the grocery store, or whatever the case may be. Because you've got to have the density down here to make it work. And that, to me, is just the first step. It's not the last step. It's just the first step in making this thing a viable project.
Right. But I don't think it circumvents or down the thought that there was a champion. If you look at all of the other setups, there were champions. They may have been, and in a lot of it was not just one person. So there was a crew of people that were in each of those. Now, it took a while, but at least they stayed connected through the time. So as, whether you're committee, if you're on the committee and stuff, it's not gonna happen overnight. You know, but how committed is that group and those champions to be able to see it come to fruition? But it has to come down to the check, because if not, it's still gonna be, well, this is what the city wants.
Just gonna meet.
This is
Well,
what
like Judy said, we've already waited 12 years, so it's time for us to move on, so.
And it's finding out who those champions are.
Any other comments?
I'm saying one thing, last thing, about the parking. You know, Mr. Jones, this is about the second or third meeting where parking has come up.
Okay.
Since that is a TAD, we can build a TAD will build a parking garage.
It could,
So we could put a parking garage.
It just depends on what kind of development we're gonna have. Right. It could happen though.
That's how we can address the parking problem.
Okay. What other questions, comments? I know you're not this shy. Come on. What else you got for me? Yes, sir.
On the master plan, it calls for residential area on the yellow part.
Right.
But you don't have any rooftops there?
No, sir, no. That was just, the plan itself basically just identifies areas for that kind of development to occur. That's just so you get in the mindset about what you're talking about. How many units that was gonna be, I don't know. We'd have to look at it in terms of number of acres, and how many units we can put out there, but I don't know. I don't have a good answer for it. I could find out. We could make one up, I guess. Yes, sir.
Is that plan gonna be around, be affected around 6th Avenue, right?
Yes, sir. It'll affect 6th Avenue if we do it right, yes.
What I'm just saying, where they gonna break down that, where we live at, me and my wife lived at Liberty Gardens, you know, the green apartments?
Right,
Try to see if they're gonna tear them down or not.
No, well, again, we don't have any plans to do anything right now.
Okay.
We're just trying to figure out where we want to go with those plans. That's
okay.
But no, don't walk out here thinking we're going to take the buildings down, please.
Okay.
I will get phone calls tomorrow. Yes, ma'am.
Perhaps this is my last question, perhaps.
Okay.
So now that this is the last meeting for the city manager to gather all the information, what's the timeline for him to get back to let us know what's going on?
Well, the best way I know how to answer it, let me tell you what my timeline is. Mike King, his folks have been videotaping this, and we are transcribing those as we go along. We'll go through and gather that information and basically sift through it. We'll put together something of a report and give it back to the city manager, and then tell him this is what we've heard at these meetings. Where's he wants to go next with this idea? So it's up to us now to get at the end of this meeting to really gather all this information, go through it, pick out the ideas, and present it to him in a report. Then I hope he will in return will present to council and let council know what's going on. So.
You know, just this morning, no, it was yesterday morning that I received a notice for the July 11th meeting.
Yeah. Is that, but then right after that, she sent.
Right.
Oh, yeah, she said, yeah.
It was just a typo.
Yeah.
But I never received a notice about the July 11th meeting in time to attend it.
Okay.
Nor did I receive one for the first.
Okay, well, all I can do is apologize. Understand, first and foremost, we make a concerted effort to get the word out. We do that, and that's why we ask you to sign in for one thing. If we get an email address from you, we'll put you on the email list. Won't email us, which we will. We'll do that. We also understand that we try to get out, we advertise in the paper on events like this in the Sunday paper primarily. And the reason is that's the largest circulation paper that day for the week. And so we do that. Typically, what we do now is we'll advertise at least twice, 2 consecutive Sundays before the meeting. So if you miss it one Sunday, maybe you'll catch it the next Sunday involved with all that. I know we went out and we hit all the churches this last time with the flyers and so forth. Nod your head, yes, that's what we did.
Flyers, all the businesses, Royal Cafe, Chester's.
Right, so everybody, we tried to saturate the area, yeah.
Everywhere we could.
But, and I'm not making excuses, we're gonna miss somebody, we just can't help it. But help us from here, from this point on, at least make sure we got your email address or something to that effect, we can get the word out to you. Because that's vital, because we can't do this without you. And if you're not here, we can't do it, period, so, yes, sir.
What is necessary, I believe, in order to get people ready to move in the right direction is to have some type of requirements. You know, anytime anything develops anywhere in the city, Columbus knows what is required.
Right.
And if those steps are you know, those skeletons are made available, then people can have more to think about when they're moving forward. So, you know, let the consolidated government of Columbus let us know what is required of us so that we can meet those requirements.
We'll certainly do our best to make that happen. The other source you need to friend us. We're on Facebook, and we've got a world of information that we're glad to share with you, especially about announcements. So get on Facebook with us. I'll tell you now, I'll go ahead and put a plug in for this now. We're gearing ourselves up really to do the comprehensive plan, which is the master plan for the entire community. We have to have it in place by October of 18. We've already got one in place. We've got to redo it. We're going to be doing community meetings like this in October. So be on the lookout for that too. But we need you to come and share with you about, not only about the Liberty District, but about Columbus as a whole and about your neighborhoods, what you'd like to see happen or not happen in those areas. So
Rick, what's it called is the Columbus Planning and Zoning on Facebook, or what?
What is it?
It's called Columbus Plan.
Columbus Plans, that's right. Columbus Plans. So we're on Facebook, so please go look for us. Be our friend on Facebook at least. And we'll probably make sure we get the word out to you as well. Okay, anything else? Last call. Anything else? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attendance. Thank you for coming out here and giving us your thoughts. And we will be back in touch with you. Thank you.